All right, let's get right into it. If you're gearing up for your VicRoads drive test in Pakenham, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down everything you need to know to turn that test day stress into a first-time pass.
So let's be real for a second. The P-plate test is a huge deal, and it's totally normal to feel those nerves creeping in. I mean, who doesn't? But that feeling of pressure, we're going to swap that out for pure confidence.
And here's why you can feel confident. Look at that number, 95%. That's the first-time pass rate for students who are properly prepared for the test at Pakenham East. So what does that tell you? It tells you this isn't a game of chance. It's a challenge you can absolutely beat if you have the right game plan.
Okay, so let's start deconstructing this thing. The absolute first step to not being nervous is knowing exactly what's coming. The test is broken down into two very different stages, and once you get how they work, everything gets a whole lot clearer.
Think of it like a two-act play. Stage 1 is all about the fundamentals. It's your low-speed skills in quiet areas. You know, the reverse, parallel park, the three-point turn. And here's the kicker. You have to pass this to even move on. Then comes Stage 2. That's when you hit the real world. Busier roads, highways, intersections. This is where you prove you can apply all those skills safely in actual traffic.
Now that you get the structure, let's talk about your secret weapon, local knowledge. Knowing the actual roads you'll be driving on is a massive advantage. So let's dive into the specific Pakenham streets and tricky spots that are likely to show up on your test.
These are the proving grounds. You've got the Princess Highway, where it's all about merging confidently and keeping your speed steady in those 80-kilometer-hour zones. Then you'll likely hit the roundabouts on Main Street. They can be narrow and busy, so nailing your yielding is critical. And of course, the residential streets, like McGregor and Duncan Drive, where the challenge is navigating around parked cars and watching your speed.
All right, time for some critical intel. You know, one of the best ways to pass is to know exactly why other people fail. So let's look at the most common and, honestly, the most avoidable mistakes that catch learners out in Pakenham. First on the list, the infamous rolling stop. This is probably the #1 reason for an instant fail. It's not a suggestion to pause, it's a command to stop. We're talking wheels completely still, you count to 3 in your head, do your full head checks, and then you go. Anything less is just not going to cut it. Next up, head checks. Here's the thing, the examiner isn't a mind reader. They have to see you check your mirrors and your blind spots. A quick glance with your eyes isn't enough. For every single turn, lane change, or merge, you need to make an obvious, deliberate movement with your head. Seriously, exaggerate it a little.
This one is a classic. Nerves can do funny things to your right foot. It's really common to drive too slow on the highway because you're scared, but that's just as dangerous as speeding. On the flip side, it's so easy to creep just a few kilometers over in those 50-kilometer-per-hour residential zones. Your mission is to be precisely on the limit, not over and not under.
And finally, weak merging. Hesitating when you're trying to get onto a fast road like the Princess Highway is a huge red flag to the examiner. It signals a lack of confidence and can mess up the flow of traffic. They're looking for smooth, decisive acceleration to get you safely into the gap.
So here's the most important takeaway from all of this. People don't usually fail because they're terrible drivers. They fail because they miss these small, totally avoidable details. And you know what? That is fantastic news, because it means passing the test is completely within your control.
Okay, so let's flip the script. We've talked about all the pitfalls, right? So now we can build our plan. This is the positive, actionable formula to make sure you pass on your very first try.
And here it is. This is your checklist for success. It's literally the direct answer to every common fail we just talked about. See? Complete 3-second stops, obvious head checks, perfect speed control, nailing those maneuvers, signaling early, and maybe most importantly, just staying calm and constantly scanning the road ahead. This is your formula. Burn it into your brain.
We're almost at the finish line. Let's cover the final piece of the puzzle, the logistics of test day. You've practiced, you know the strategy. Now let's just make sure the day itself goes off without a single problem.
Look, this stuff is simple, but it is so important. Have your learner's permit and your ID ready to go. Get to the testing center on Trelo Lane about 15 minutes early so you're not rushing. Wear comfortable shoes you can actually drive in. Make sure your car is clean, all the lights work, you get the idea. And please get a good night's sleep and have something to eat. Being prepared in your mind and body reduces stress and lets all that practice shine through.
So there you have it, the complete roadmap. You know the 2 stages, you know the tricky local roads, You know the mistakes to avoid, and you have the formula for success. You've got everything you need to pass this test, so the only question left is, are you ready to get behind that wheel and earn your license?